Hi, so excited to be coming to you today. I am Kanisha Hart, and I am the CEO of Confident You. And today I want to welcome you to the very first episode of Candid Corporate Conversations with Confident You. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself really quickly, the company, and then we're going to dive right into what Candid Corporate Conversations is going to be all about. And I'm super excited for you to join me. So I'm going to be speaking off of some notes because I am a believer that I want to make sure I give you every little bit that I've prepared to share with you, and that will be going forward in the future. And we will talk through it from there. And so, first and foremost, I created Confident You about 5 years ago because I have a passion for helping to connect women around the globe with game changing confidence, to find it within themselves so that they can learn to command their confidence so that they can change their lives. And so that is women, ladies, my fellow sisters. That is why I created that company for you. And that is why I'm doing this episode and we'll be doing these episodes going forward. And so thank you for plugging in and for being connected with me today to do just that. And so what are candid corporate conversations? So let me tell you what they are. So as a business owner, I love the support and the resources and the communities and the information that are available for business owners all day. There are so many. I absolutely love it. But in addition to being a business owner, I'm also a woman who works in corporate America in a full-time job that I absolutely love. However, I don't find as many resources and outlets for women who are in corporate America as I do for women in business. And so therefore I saw a gap and I thought, what can I do since I live in both worlds to help fill that gap and to help talk about some of the things that we as women who are in corporate America sometimes get talked about, the things and the challenges and even the celebrations that we deal with, and sometimes don't. And so how can I fill that gap? And realizing that according to catalyst.org, that in 2018, women represent 46% of the workforce. So we are almost half of the workforce out there. We know we still live in a man's world, and there's a reason why I am a champion of women, and it is because we are more educated. We are the buying power in this country of the United States of America. And we're almost half the force of the workforce, but we still don't have the same level playing field as our counterparts in men. And so we, one, have to band together to make sure that we are supporting each other, lifting each other up. And two, we need to talk about what our experience is in the workplace because it is different from men. And then how we can grow together, make each other better, find resources, information that's going to help us to continue to build our space, to take up that space in corporate America as we deserve to do. And so I want to just give you a couple of examples about how our experience is different from men and why we need to have these candid corporate conversations about what's happening in corporate America that we as women are experiencing and how do we deal with them? How do we get past them? To give you an example, if you've ever had a manager who wanted to develop you, male or female, when you were asked what you wanted to develop on or when they suggested what you needed to develop as a woman, how many of you were told that you need to work on your confidence or on building relationships? I've had that coaching and development as well. However, that's not typically what men are developed on. Typically, men are developed on how to strategize the business or parts and specific areas of the business so that they have a better understanding of the business as a whole outside of the work, the role, the department that they live in. And do you know that those two differences cause a divide? Can you imagine that in one area, we're taught to build our confidence and build relationships. And granted, that is absolutely necessary in order to move up, to be promoted, in order to build a brand that's successful in your world and in your corporate area. But if you don't know how the business works, if we don't know how the operations of the business works, if we don't know the finances of the business, if we don't know the strategy of the business, if we don't know the projects and how projects are run and the nuances of the business, then we can't legitimately step into the higher levels of leadership and positions because we don't know the business, which is necessary in order for the business to continue to grow. And we can only have people in higher seats in the business, moving up in the business, who know how to work the business. And so that's just an example of a way that women are not given the same opportunity. We have a different experience than men. And we need to talk about those things so that we can be aware of them and we can change that in the workplace. We can approach it differently. And we have to wonder, why is it happening? I don't think it's ever intentional for the most part, but I just think it is how people view women in the corporate world. And we need to pivot those impressions, those thought processes. That's what we're going to talk about in Candid Corporate Conversations. I'll give you just another quick example that deals with the manager again. Have you ever had a challenging manager to deal with who was a critical manager? Not only is that stressful, but it can also impact your growth in the company. And so how do you deal with that? What do you do? These are issues that I deal with in the workforce, but I don't have a regular source of information or guidance on how to deal with those issues. So I decided that I wanted to be that voice. And therefore, Candid Corporate Conversations were born. And so here we'll address everyday corporate, I'm going to call it what it is, crap that we all deal with, and talk through how to overcome and thrive in your role and your career. And in addition to me, as this grows and we continue to have conversations, then I'm going to invite guests to join and tell how they've championed some of their challenges. And I want to hear from you on what you're dealing with, because that will help me to understand what we need to talk about. And so we can talk candidly about those situations. So welcome to Candid Corporate Conversations. Here together, you and I, we will conquer and grow in our space in corporate America, one conversation at a time. So today, what I wanted to kick off with is obviously with what we have going on in the world today with COVID-19. And I pray that you and your families are safe. It is a difficult time right now. It's impacting everything. Our normal life will no longer be the norm when we return to life. Here in the US, we are sheltering in, social distancing. Businesses are closed. People are out of work. Some people are still working. There's a mixture of things that are going on. It's a different time. And so I wanted to start with the very first candid conversation about how that impact will change what we do. So first and foremost, I know that some of you all have been furloughed, or some of you all have been laid off, and some of you all are still working. It's a spectrum of people, of what's going on. But today I want to talk about your value and how you reinforce that in whatever stage you are. Because first and foremost, I want you to know that you are valuable. Sometimes our identity, myself included, I am challenged with this as we speak, that sometimes I forget that my identity is not in God. My identity is in my work. I forget that if I didn't have work, I would still be the amazing, blessed Kenesha that God created me to be. But it's normal, like when you work and you love what you do and you know that you contribute and you're successful and have ideas, that you know that your work makes you feel valuable. And that's just being candid. And it should, but our identity can't be wrapped up in that. Our identity needs to be wrapped up in who we were created to be by our Creator. But we do have value at work. And I want you to know that you are valuable whether you're working, whether you're furloughed, whether you're laid off. You are valuable. And so how do we reinforce that value in all of those different situations? So I'm going to start with, first, how you reinforce that value if you're working. And so really quickly, let me just backtrack and say, To understand your value, I want you to think about the way that you think, the way that you process things, your ideas, how you communicate, the relationships that you build, your work ethic, your originality, your interests, your different perspectives. All of that and more creates your value. So I want you to take just a quick moment and take personal stock of all the things that you can think of that make up your immense value as a contributor in the workplace. There's a lot, isn't there? And sometimes we don't do that enough. Just take stock of how amazing we are. But you have value. And so this is the time to reinforce that either to your company if you're working, to yourself if you're not, and to prepare to do it when you return to work or go to a new job, whichever the case may be. So let's start with if you're working. If you're working, you want to take this time to reinforce to your manager, to your manager's manager, to your colleagues and your direct reports, to the company as a whole, your value. I'm going to just talk really quickly about a few ways to do that. So one, with your manager, be proactive in finding a problem and then be proactive in finding the solution. So what that means, and that will apply for the company as well, but we all know that there's a problem in your company somewhere that's in your world, right? Like you're not going to solve the problems of the entire company, but in your world, what has been that one thing that is a pain point for everybody, but nobody has time to deal with it because it doesn't drive business or it doesn't move the business or it doesn't bring in income or revenue? But what is that pain point that if it were done better, if it were fixed, if there were a solution to it, that it would make processes smoother, it would make work more efficient, it would make teamwork more cohesive and comprehensive? What is that one problem? You know what it is. It's been on your nerves intermittently at different times where you say, gosh, I wish this was just this way. That's the problem that you want to figure out and you want to work on a solution for. Now, that is more of reinforcing your value to the company, but it will also do it right with your manager, your manager's manager. Specifically with your manager, be proactive in finding out what's important to her right now, or him, but we'll talk with as though she's a female. Women's empowerment. But find out what's important to her. What is her priority right now? And then be proactive in either asking her how you can take some of that off her plate to help her, or in offering ideas, suggestions on how her priority can be fixed, solved, worked through. But that will remind her that, one, you're aware of what's important to her, and two, you will also be reminding her that you are a valuable member of the team that does provide support, solutions, X, Y, and Z. Then with your colleagues and your direct reports, find value with them. Reinforce your value with them. One, make sure during this difficult time where things are uncertain, businesses are changing, all businesses are changing essentially how they're having to work. And if you all hear a little meow in the background, that is my kitten joining into the conversation. But for your colleagues and your direct reports, especially for your direct reports, give them clear guidance. Make sure that they know exactly what they need to be doing so that they feel like they're providing value during this time. And we become better managers, better leaders when we are focusing on others versus focusing on ourselves. Or during this time, it's easy to check out and just think I need to do my own work. I need to make sure that my job is secure and so I can't really worry about other people. We want to change that thinking, because when you make sure that your team feels like they're valued, they know that they have very clear direction on what they do, what they're doing. They know that um, there is work that is going to drive the business that they are doing, and you have provided that for them, then they are going to be more loyal to you. They're going to see the value in you. They know that their leader is looking out for them, is making sure that during this time they're taken care of, and that exponentially increases your value in their eyes. So focus on your direct reports, because as they're working, you are working to support them, right? And that is going to make sure that they are there, your value is reinforced with them. Same thing with colleagues. Slightly different. You're not going to give them directives of what to do or guidance on what to do, but you can definitely reach out and ask, how can I support you? Is there anything that you're working on that I can be of support to you, that I can help you with? There's some industries that are even more busy right now, and there's some industries that are slow. And so the flip side, if you're slow and there's not a lot of projects or work going on per se, then there's an opportunity, as we talked about just a minute ago, what's the priority to your boss, or what's the problem in your company? Bring your colleague in to work on something with you. And that way they will be appreciative of you reaching out, looking out for them, involving them to keep them focused on something that is going to drive the business. Now, that's if you're working. How do you reinforce your value, right? So one, priority of your manager, help her with it. Two, for your direct reports, give them clear guidance and support. Give them direction so that they can check the box, check their to-do list. I'm done. Colleagues, pull them into projects with you, or offer to help them with their projects. And then with the company, what is that problem that everybody is annoyed with? You be the solution. You take this time to find the solution to that problem, so that as things return to the new normal, that problem is off the table. If people don't notice now, they will notice later. Now let's move to if you are laid off or furloughed. So this is the time to truly increase your value in a very different way, and to reinforce your value when you return to work or when you look for a new job. What I am going to suggest that you do is that you take a class, learn a skill, master your knowledge, return to work with an upskill in your gifts and your talents that you already have. And so what skill you would like to have improved to make your job easier, to make your job better, to make you better at your job, to make the people around you better. That's what I would suggest starting with. So what is that skill that you need to up level, that you need to upskill in order for it to be a better role, in order for it to be a better outcome when you work? Any of those things. So that is what I would say you start with. And I'll give you an example. Mine is going to be my Excel skills. So my Excel skills are okay, but they can definitely be up leveled, right? And so I'm nowhere near the level my analysts and my company are. And that's not where I want to get to, but there's definitely some middle ground between where I am and where they are that I can improve in. And I can use this time to do that, to improve that skill set. So for you, what is yours? Is it learning a different part of your business? Is it learning more effectively how to market yourself or a product or in your business? Is it understanding and learning the newest trends in technology or in the technology arena? Is it learning how and what your competitors are doing? Are you up on your industry and the competitors in your industry? Because knowing that gives you a different edge and a different perspective when you approach problems. Do you need to upskill your sales strategies and your sales skills? There's a ton of opportunity for you to use this time to improve your skill, to learn, to gain knowledge. And you know best what you don't know. So you're aware of what you can improve in order to help you better in your job. So I encourage you, dive in today. And if you don't know where to start, ask your manager or colleagues for suggestions. The other thing is, if you are furloughed or laid off, apply for jobs and interview. This is how this is going to increase your value. One, how long has it been since you had to apply for a job? How old is your resume? When was the last time it was updated? Dust it off if it's been a while. Update it. Research the newest, most important aspects of resume writing that are going on right now with the way that resumes are processed and all of that information. Depending on how long you've been on your job, it could be 10, 15 years since your resume was updated and technology has changed how people get through the initial screening process, or it may have been just a few months. But if it's been a few months or a few years, you definitely have skills, you definitely have successes, you definitely have things that you can put on your resume now to update them. Take this time to update your resume, apply for new jobs, learn that new process, all the different ways that there are to apply for jobs, job boards, LinkedIn, Facebook, all of that. Network through your network, and then interview. And the reason I say to do these things is because that increases your value by the resume building and the job application a little bit, but really what I'm getting to is the interviewing. You want to interview. Take this time to interview for jobs because it's great practice and it's great networking and relationship building opportunities. So, one, it keeps you sharp, right? So, if I have to interview, if you haven't interviewed often or haven't been out of practice for a little while, it gets you sharp again, right? It helps you to get on top of how do I answer questions? How do I promote myself? Self-promotion, something that we will definitely talk about in these series because we as women don't do it well enough or often enough. But how do I promote myself? How do I make myself that person, that candidate, that employer, potential employer says, yes, that's the one, right? Or even if you don't have the specific skill set that they're looking for, or it's not 100% fit as far as experience, but you can make that connection so that that person says, this may not be the right fit of a role for you, but you're the right fit for our company culture, or like what you bring to the table. And so we'll keep an eye open if there's something else. And you may have intentions of leaving your job, you may not. It's okay either way. Because in addition to one, keeping your interviewing skills sharp, your conversation skills sharp, your ability to interact, answer questions, self-promote, that's one, reinforcing and increasing your value because we got to keep those skills sharp. Two, your relationship building. So apply to jobs that I might never, probably would never do this, but it is in an industry that I'm interested in, or it's with a company that I'm interested in, or that I'm curious about. And I want to meet these individuals, or having a connection with the people who interview me would be beneficial for me down the road, and I can be of benefits to them, right? Remember, networking is not about what we can get out of others, but it's how we can help others. And in that process, then it becomes a give and a take on both people's end. So interviewing allows you to network in a different way because you're able to spend 30 minutes, an hour in conversation with someone to create a warm relationship off the top. So often when we network, especially over social media, it's very remote. It's not personable typically. Networking, when we go to networking events or conferences or what have you, yep, you get to have a conversation, but they're usually short and people sort of feel like there's an agenda there sometimes. But when you're in an interview, there's a specific purpose for the conversation, but it's also a great time to get to know that person and they're getting to know you and you're getting to know about the company. And so it's a great opportunity to work on having conversation, meaningful conversation, purposeful conversation, self-promoting conversation, learning conversation, and create a new contact that you can then say, if you say, oh, this is not the job for me, I appreciate you, but in the future, if there's something that catches your attention you think I would be great at, please reach out to me. And then you yourself are going to continue to stay in touch with that person. You're going to connect with them on LinkedIn. And then every blue moon, every 3 months, 4 months, you're going to send them an email that, says, hi, how are you doing? Just seeing how things are going in your world. Or you find an article about their industry that you're going to send to them. But you're going to keep in touch because now they're going to be part of your network They're going to be part of that relationship capital that we have to continually work to build and infuse into, that is going to increase your value, because also you now know what they're looking for, and you may be able to refer to them a great candidate for their job. They will value that, and they will value you for doing so. And so that is what I would suggest for, if you're not working, how to continue to increase your value. One, add a new knowledge, new skill set. And two, dust off the resume, update the resume, apply, interview, build your network. Those would be the main two things I would say to take the time right now to do in this time that we are living if you're not working. So let's be candid as we wrap up. Only you, only I, only we control the value that we bring to a situation, and we control how we up-level our own value. We always value ourselves as a human being, as a woman, because we are powerful in our own rights. When it comes to the workplace of corporate America, we add value there by the skill sets and the way that we think. And so we want to build that. And you want to use this time to do so. So what are you doing to increase your value that will be used or is currently being used in corporate America in your job? And then I want you to think about this question. What will you wish you had done a month from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, to increase your value? Do it. Start today. So what are the possibilities that you're saying it's not possible to improve myself? It is, absolutely. And you want to say, I don't know what the resources are. There are tons. And I'm going to ask that here, that below in the comments, that if you know resources, share so that other people can see. And the most important thing I think about increasing your value is increasing our self-confidence. We have more confidence when we feel competent. And new skills learning improves our confidence in so many ways. And saying no to increasing your confidence and saying no to having more self-confidence. So let's build our self-confidence. Let's say yes to, I'm going to build my competencies. So I'm going to build my confidence as well, because you do know that self-confidence is game-changing, and people will want to work with, go to as a first resource, people who are confident sooner than they will even people who may have the knowledge of the problem that they need solved. So this is just another way to build that game-changing confidence so that you can command the changes that you see in your life. So I'm going to challenge you today. Decide what you are going to do to up your value today, where you'll start. And please understand, you're not going to accomplish all of it in one day. You're not going to decide and then complete it all in one day. No, today. Make the decision. What skill set do you want to improve today? Or what are you going to do if you're still working to reinforce your value at work? Take time. Think about it. Then put it down on paper, then make your plan. So I challenge you today to do that. I'll share, as I showed earlier, mine is improving my Excel. I'm taking free online classes to do that, and I'll share with you in the notes below the resource where I'm doing that, but that is mine. And so again, my challenge to you, what are you doing today to reinforce or increase your value during this time? I want to say thank you for joining me in my very first Candid Corporate Conversation. I'll be sharing with you every week right here. So join me. Send me questions, send me challenges that you're dealing with in corporate America as a woman, and let's talk about those. Please drop notes in the comments below. I'd love to get your feedback, love to hear what you think. And also, if you do have any free resources, training resources that you can share, that we can all take advantage of to upskill ourselves, as we talked about today, please do that. Thank you again for joining. I so look forward to the next session. See you next time.